Wife has effectively almost died 5 times. I've had to do CPR on her 3 of those 5 times. We have had um, our home foreclosed on. We have had vehicles repossessed. We have had, well, I've lost work in the other business that I conduct. I just had my 57th year of recognition. What I always do is I always add up both numbers to come down to one singular number. So this year I'm three again. Hi, good evening. This is the Allison Knows podcast. I am Allison. Welcome. Like, share, subscribe, please. Get us over 1,000 subscriptions so that we can grow our show as we share what we have to share. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I am going to do what I fondly called a self interview. And you're probably wondering, what in Hades is that? Well, if there are some of you that have been listening to my show and watching my show. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I have grown from 500 subscribers to 545, I think. And I appreciate it. Thank you very much. What I'm doing is I will call, as I said, a self interview. Now, this is, first of all, to get to know me and to get to know the show. So let's begin. Who am I? I am a regular person. I am someone that is very concerned about our environment. I feel like I have a lot to share, things to talk about, and conversations to have, either with my camera and then by extension you, or with regular people. I was born in the Caribbean. I would like you to comment and tell me where you think I was born. Go ahead, leave a comment as a best guest. Um, when I left my home country, I went to the United States and I was at a crossroads. I could have attended college or I could have decided to do anything else, get a job or something else. I instead joined the United States military. That was one of my best decisions. I am not in the least bit angry, upset, or disappointed I made that choice. I would, in a heartbeat, return right now. However, time marches on and it waits for no one. Why did I start this podcast? Well, I started this podcast because I wanted to connect. I wanted to share things. I wanted people to speak to me, share things with me, and for us to talk. I realized that there are people within my family, that people I know share different views, have different opinions, and definitely have points of view. And I've listened to them and I've shared mine, and I've come away with one definitive thing. We all have different perspectives, and the only way that those perspectives will change to reflect the masses is the moment it becomes personal, then it becomes relevant. There are tons of examples of that, both publicly and privately. What was my initial spark or aha moment? I don't know. That's a very good question. What is my why is basically what you're asking. The why for me is I feel like I have something to say. And I listen to a lot of people, and there are a lot of people that have become and are angry, and they are like pressure cookers. They talk a good talk in private, and then there are others that they just can't figure out, find out, or even think about where else they need to go. I am. what, what made me decide to do this? It kind of factored into one of the things that something that I truly, truly want to do, which is I'd love to produce. I'd love to do films. I'd love to do TV series. That's probably why I read voraciously as I do. And as a footnote, what I tend to do within some of my shows, hopefully, it's what I have my artificial intelligence do for me is to conduct a review of books that I'm reading, So I'm thinking about including a segment that talks about what am I reading, what am I listening to, and what am I watching. And it's probably just going to be called What Am I? Because it is it's interesting what's being pushed out, what's being publicized, what's being published, either self-publications or traditional. And I'm a fan of self-publications. I think if you can, you should go ahead and publicize it. Um, I look back on my life and what is the thing that hinted that I was going to be where I am? I think it's a story that I think about. I was 8 years old. My mom raised me. My father was around, but my mother was my primary parent. So I remember when, people used to get, paddled, spanked. And I think I was 8 years old. I remember telling my mother, I believe that I am old enough for you to just simply just talk to me. You don't have to spank me. You don't have to paddle my butt because I am, kind of not necessarily a bratty child, but someone that was a little bit more advanced, a little bit more ahead of themselves. So it kind of started a foundation of my unique experience. One of the most pivotal points in my growing up that I can distinctly remember. I was 15 years old, and I remember being in an empty parking lot, and I was smacking my tennis ball on the side of the apartment complex that I lived across the street from. And it was almost as clear as day, kind of a true metamorphosis, if you will, visual, maybe a vivid dream or vivid vision of some sort. And I saw myself living here in the United States, saw myself self-employed, successfully self-employed. I saw myself happily coupled and living in a space that was safe, content, harmonized, and not necessarily protected because I'm female with a very good tan, and I live in a red state, married to an Anglo-Saxon woman, and I'm a veteran with significant PTS, MST, and I can feel it's almost tangible. It's almost like fingers. I can feel the anxiety of what's going on. I feel the energy. And we'll get down the road. We'll talk about politics, but my my sensitivity is something that I think propelled me to where I am, to where what I'm doing right now. What are the misconceptions? A lot of people will look at me and they'll assume that everything is perfect. They'll assume that I am financially solvent. They will assume that I have no concerns, no worries. And from there, I can actually see and I can sense jealousy and I can sense some sort of underlying animosity. But it's taken a while for me to get to a place where it doesn't matter to me what people say is not my business. how I react to it is what's going to dictate how far ahead am I going to go, what am I going to accomplish, and then what I'm going to do with that accomplishment and that opportunity. So, how would I describe my brand in 3 words? I don't even know if I have a brand, but how would I describe my brand? Personal, public, provocative, or provoking. Why peas? I like peas. Peas are good. Peas are impacting. I like that. Peas are penetrating. I like peas. Uh, um, who is the one person I'm trying to reach with my show? The one person I'm trying to reach with my show is that person that is confused at why they're angry, confused at why they have the attraction they have, confused at why they feel so alone, confused at why they should bother being here. I am looking to connect with the person that can listen to what I say and not necessarily take it as gospel, but in that listening, it kind of unfurls the clenching of their fists, the tight puckering of their butt, the anger, the rage, or even the resentment, because social media is both good and bad. It allows us to connect and it allows us to disconnect and isolate. It allows us to sit behind a keyboard and be a content comment person without the consequences attached to it, without dealing with the fallout directly. And in doing so and in doing that, it kind of lets you off the hook, if you will. Um, why do I put a face to my podcast? Why do I put a face to what I say? Why do I put a face to what I do? Well, um, I don't know any other way to be. I do not understand when, well, that's not true. I do understand when someone is angry and when someone feels entitled to say what they are entitled to say. But I realize that in that space, when they feel that entitlement, they fail to recognize that we're not necessarily entitled to listen to what they're saying. Because just like they feel entitled to their opinion, to their utterance, I feel entitled to my ability to be oblivious and ignoring them. Because if it's not something that I feel that is important to me, then why should I be compelled to listen? However, I will forever defend your right to say, do, and speak whatever is on your mind as long as you're not harming someone with it. And if you're made aware that you're harming someone in it, then I would fully expect that you would have the decency to adjust the degree of hostility, if that's what it is, or the degree of infectious vocabulary that you feel entitled to say. How did I come up the name of my show? It's really kind of a double entendre. Obviously, it's from my real name, but I challenge I challenge people to what do you know? Because it's all in the name. Allison knows. Well, what do you know? Um, I know a lot, but I also want to know more. I'm always seeking to find out more. I'm curious. I love to dig into things. I am definitely always learning. What would I call my subscribers, my fans? Well, I call them two things. I call them know-it-alls when they have subscribed to me, and then when I get to a place where someone can join my fan base, then not only are you know-it-alls, but you are VIPs, if you will, very inquisitive people, because the underlining essence is I I want my show, I want my show to be the vehicle from which I can do what I truly feel I should do, which is to share some hope, to bring some hope, And for me, HOPE is an acronym, help one person every day. Because as I said, being online, first of all, the great thing about it is that there are no borders. There is no, there's no limit. But what is very, very painful, or what can be very, very isolating, is feeling and believing that you're the only person in your mind space in what you're doing. So, yeah, how do I how do I describe or define success for me and my podcast? Well, I will start with the one thing that is not necessarily equal to all, but understood by most, which is the financial aspect of it. Well, the financial aspect of it doesn't happen until you hit a certain subscriber number. And then when you get to a certain subscriber number, then you're able to monetize that subscription. Well, that's all well and good, and that's fantastic. However, what is fascinating to me is I want to get to a number that is, yeah, influential, but I don't necessarily want to get to a number that is incendiary. I don't want to inflame and antagonize. I literally want to be the kind of podcast that at 3:45 in the morning, when you're in bed with that special person with you and the both of you are talking about things, and you're quiet in that time, and then there's something that I said or something that I shared, and you start to giggle and you cannot stop. That is the best time right there. So I want to be a really good window, and one that you keep throwing open and that you share with others and that you can rely on. And also too, if I say or do something that even if you don't agree with or you find problematic, you are able to say it, but say it in such a way that it's not harmful, that it doesn't trigger something. Because I won't lie to you, there's a lot of things I get triggered by. This entire 2025, I've been triggered the whole year. And even though it's been rapid going through this year, there's just things that it's like, oh my God, I'm just amazed. But anyway, what fuels my passion and keeps me motivated to keep creating? Oh, that's easy. As long as I wake up, as long as I'm able to be up. Yeah, there are stressors, but I saw something online that had, I think it's a cross between Baby Yoda and Yoda. It was AI generated, and I call it Allison Intelligence, by the way. Um, the little video was a Baby Yoda sitting there sucking. I think he was sucking on a straw, and the caption over his head says that stress is solved by having desserts, because quite simply stressed is desserts spelt backwards. I thought that was the funniest thing. I was like, that's perfect. But the sad thing about that is that I don't have a sweet tooth. I have this love affair that goes on with potato chips, and it's not your basic baked potato chips. It is your jalapeno potato chips. Yeah, different conversation, different time. Um, so if I could only be known for one thing, what would I want it to be? Again, that's easy. I have a dream and a passion of being able to publish, produce, and distribute the books that I read in form of either being um, streamed series, or even being uh, movies. So it is it is opportunistic that I think by doing this podcast, it's going to connect me to where I need to be. I believe that, and I think it will happen. So yeah, I live in hope, and I believe it will happen. I do. I believe it will happen. I don't doubt it. Um, what has been the single biggest challenge I've faced in my podcasting journey so far? Being consistent, being disciplined. I I really ought to be doing 2 videos a day, and I haven't been able to do that. And it's not an excuse, it's truly an explanation. My wife is a seizure active, so whenever there's something that triggers that, I have a hard time staying out of her line of sight. I keep an eye on her because it's really, really nefarious how her seizures literally creep up on all of us. And she's not seizure active. The family is seizure active. Even our dogs, they are predisposed at being hyper aware of whatever's going on with her. So um, that affects me with being disciplined and being consistent, but I will get there. I figure I'll do this on my own, not necessarily time, but cycle. Yes, that's the word, cycle. Um, can I share a time I failed and what did that failure teach me? Yeah. What my definition of failure is not being able to provide. One of the things that have happened is things are important, but things also are not as important as good health. I've actually learned that, and that's hard. That's very hard. My wife has effectively almost died 5 times. I've had to do CPR on her 3 of those 5 times. Um, there is no fear that creeps up your spine faster than that. Yeah, loss. We have we have had um, our home foreclosed on. We have had vehicles repossessed. We have had the electricity turned off. We have had I have lost businesses. Well, I've lost work in the other business that I conduct. Yeah, it's it's lost. I just had my 57th year of recognition. What I always do is I always add up both numbers to come down to one singular number. So this year I'm three again. And I kind of use that. I've decided to go about using that as what are the 3 things that I am going to accomplish during this cycle. And what I'm going to accomplish during this cycle is my podcast is going to succeed. I am going to begin publishing the digital works that I want to publish, and I'm going to see a lot of the books that I've read in either a series form or a film or both, depending on the content, because it's um it's entertainment, it brings joy, and to be quite frank, the the standing on the sidelines kind of thing is not something I do. I'm Sagittarian. It's not built in that way for me. So what does that failure taught me? It taught me that I didn't die from it. I didn't die from it. And it's like, really, it didn't kill me. So, yeah. How do I handle moments of self-doubt and creative blocks? Well, I think those 2 things are separate. Creative blocks, um, I actually, it's interesting. Now that I have my Allison intelligence, I go about it by query, some serious query. I don't know if I can say that I mastered what my inquiries are, but it definitely helps me to be as provocative, as insightful, as, you know, into it as I want to be. Um, my self-doubt, that is tied into my PTSD. Um, I remember a time before that, even before I knew that I loved women, it was more of a case of, I won't say fear, but a slight sense of being timid, maybe. But I think what helped me overcome that is I paid more attention to my instincts, my intuition, my insight. And it really has been um, a way to direct me, listening more keenly to my innards, if you will. I feel a lot with what's going on politically. And most of that, believe it or not, is significant for all of us. It's fascinating that the heartbeat, if you will, resides in someone who has no heart. And because of decisions and those that he surrounds himself with, it's now a matter of us debating, deciding, and taking steps to whether or not we are going to be doing this. Are we going to make ourselves better? Um, are we going to be in a place of self-preservation? Do we not realize that serving our local community is literally going to help us globally? It is, and it does, and it will. Um, what is a belief I held a few years ago that I now completely disagree with? A belief. Well, I used to believe I had limits. I did. I don't have limits. I do not. I have decisions. Do I want to do something or not? And I think it's simply based on that. Is that something I want to do or not? Um, do I think, feel, and believe that if given an opportunity, would I do certain things the same way? Well, I would love to be able to put in that $100 just when Bitcoin was starting, but I don't think right now the opportunistic time or benefit is to be wealthy. I think it's to be comfortable. And I think the number that would actually bring comfort to most families within our country is $75,000 a year. I think if just about everyone was at that number, I think there would be a true sense of balance that would be a case of, huh, so this is what contentment feels like. And and of course, universal health care. Seriously, when you take care of the health of your people and you secure for them their food sources, you have a definite happy populace. You do. We are always focused, for the most part, on what politics is traditionally. I don't think our politics will ever be traditional, especially after this year. I think things that we are going to start seeing happen publicly, we're going to find ourselves uttering this phrase far too often. That's never happened before. Oh my God, are we actually really going to be doing this? Well, I think we are. I think we are because the old way doesn't work anymore. And no offense to my male brothers, but men have no clue what it's going to take to rebuild, rebirth this this world because they've been at the helm for the longest time, and not all of them, but most of them have been taking for their own coffers and for their own benefit, forgetting that it takes balance. You have to have good to balance the bad. You have to have light to balance the darkness, and you have to give in order to receive. So I think right about now we're going to start seeing a lot of women and a lot of men with female energy that are going to start showing, sharing, and teaching us what that balance actually is. And believe it or not, one of those people is Zoran Mandami. That guy is someone to watch because he is dynamic, yes. However, he is right now at a place where he's closest to what our pain is and what our anxiety produces and what the toxicity needs in order to clear. So it's going to be interesting to watch. And then hopefully we get to see how we take care of ourselves when given a chance again to do it, because we'll get it again. And when the disclosure process starts to happen in what truly was the election steal. And I tell you what's funny, in the link I'm going to provide my ebook, well, one of my ebooks. This ebook is The Evolution of a Lie, and it's going to share, and teach where this all began, because this is not something that happened in 2024. What happened in 2024 is actually what happened in 1988. The trigger was 1988. It was also uh, 2000. It was also 2016. So if you would like, go ahead and support me. Uh, The book is in the link. The pay link is there as well. So, what has been the most unexpected lesson I've learned, and through what process? Well, the most unexpected lesson I learned is I never used to think I was patient. I never thought I was patient. Being born Sagittarius, a lot of people are probably going to say, well, what does that matter? I mean, your horoscope has nothing to do with, yeah, it does. Horoscope is literally, believe it or not, part scientific and part, I feel, religious activity. Well, not religious, spirituality. Yeah. Because remember I talked to you about the balance. There are 12 zodiac signs. There's the moon and then there's the sun. And I believe that it would do ourselves a true disservice if we believed that the only thing is a linear process. I think there are lots of nuances that's going on. Um, but the unexpected lesson for me has been, yeah, I'm more patient than I thought. I've taken the time to build my mindset. I have definitely taken the time to build my skill set, and I've finally, finally got to a place where I have a really good tool set. I yeah, that's the unexpected lesson, I believe. I am more patient than I thought. How have I evolved as a person since starting this public facing journey? It's a work in progress. We're still there. We're still at it. I'm learning a lot. I I believe that as I keep doing these podcasts, as I keep publishing them, as I keep pushing them out, eventually I will do some interviews. Eventually I'll talk to some people. Is probably what I should say. I don't necessarily do interviews, but one of the people I truly want to talk to is um is Jennifer Welsh from iHit News. Love her. Love her vocabulary. Love her ability to eloquently say what those of us think in confusion, because this woman has a way of coining a phrase. Right now, my favorite phrase is Moses Mike Grinder Johnson. I mean, really, the t-shirts that we could sell with that. I'm loving that, because it is truly wonderful to see that happen. When I was a younger woman, and you're flexing your muscles sexually, you find out who you're attracted to and who you're not attracted to, and the physicality of whatever is appealing to you, your whatever is your eye candy or whatever is your eye trigger is all well and good. But when you get to a place where you realize that a mental acumen is the thing that turns you on, so my wife and I have these conversations, and she will look at me, she'll give me that smirk, and then she has beautiful green eyes, and then her eyes will twinkle, and she'll say to me, "Yeah, I knew that about you." And I'm thinking, really? Should have told me. And she said, no, you don't need to know stuff like that. You have to discover it on your own. It's what keeps you interested. And I think that's kind of cool. But I digress. Um, what is the best piece of advice I've ever received, and how did it impact me? Believe it or not, I don't necessarily, I haven't really been given specific advice. I will say this, there are things that have been said to me. Um, for example, not I probably conjured this from my subconscious, but everyone always says practice makes perfect. I amend it for me and I say practice makes permanent. And I say that because if you give it a little bit of thought, you'll realize that's true. Practice does make permanent. If you do something often enough, it becomes muscle memory. So and it sticks. So makes it permanent. Um, One of my other phrases that I kind of probably got out of the ether was until it's when it becomes personal, that's when it becomes relevant. Because when it becomes something that matters to you, that's only when you're going to start giving it the attention you need to give it, whatever it is. I think that's probably why we're now seeing a lot of people refer to this administration as the regime, because a lot of people are starting to come across and think, did this really, did we actually really vote for this? Why is it that we're not able to go back and count the votes manually? Why is it that we're being uh, obstructed? Why is it that the the destruction is literally having a wildfire effect that's going through? I think those are all very good questions, but I also think that when you take some time to examine it, you don't really have to go that deep into the skin of it all. You don't, because it's basic, but it's not necessarily simple or easy. For a long time, we've always said the wheels of the legal system turn slowly. A lot of us would say sometimes that the inability to do anything in the government took time. Well, he has definitely blown that out of the water. So therefore, it's not something that we can actually say is true anymore. So that's why I think that traditional governance is now going to be something from the past. Okay. What am I watching? What am I watching? Believe it or not, I like All's Fair. I am a Ryan Murphy fan. I really am. I hope we can collaborate on some work that I am playing around in this noggin of mine. I do like that show. It's funny because a lot of people are upset about it. They're like, "Oh, it's not that, is that?" And I think it's funny because I'm like, you don't even realize what's going on. Entertainment is supposed to entertain. It's not supposed to be a political movement, nor is it supposed to be a factual study. Some people have their own feelings about Kim Kardashian. I think what I'd like to see is I want to see her stretch herself. I want her to convince me that she is the role that she is in. And with this one, it works because it's not really too far from who she really is, in my opinion. She's always wanted to be an attorney. She's a daddy's girl. So she's always wanted to be an attorney because she subconsciously I can see that she feels that it would be the thing that would have made him very proud, and it will kind of like eliminate the what she feels I think is a mistake getting married to Kanye West. But I I think right now that we're going to start seeing a lot of public entertainment figures do some things that we're going to be like, "Well, I didn't see that coming." Well, it's not your place. They're still individuals, I think, and we always forget that. But anyway, what else am I watching? I'm watching Landman. I love Billy Bob Thornton. I do. I think he's the best. I watched him in Goliath, and I think he's the best. He's an awesome entertainer. I think there's a role in one of these books that I'm reading that he would definitely blow up for me, make me happy in him being it. And I hope I get that opportunity. Um, so I'm watching a lot of things. I even watched the Graham Norton show. I love Graham. Graham is hysterical. He's my my candy. I don't necessarily eat sweets all the time, but when I do have sweets, I like chocolate and peanuts. And for me, that's Graham Norton when it comes to watching one of his shows. Um, and I love when he has one of my best episodes that I watched with him is when he had Taylor Swift on there. That woman is stunning. She has grown into her looks, and unfortunately, my psychic intuition has given me something that I am not going to disclose at this point. But a part of me hopes that I am right because of what I think the results are going to be. But nonetheless, um, but for the most part, that's what I'm watching too. I'm also rewatching Grey's Anatomy because I literally stopped watching it at season 6. So yeah, I've been playing catch up, so God bless Netflix for that. Okay. What am I reading? I am reading anything and everything from written by a friend of mine, that I made a friend of mine because I love her work. And again, I am going to get her work published in the film form. I will do that. I am manifesting that now, and I will do it. And we will get it distributed, and it's not going to be a piece of art, which is what sapphic film seems to be for some people. It bugs me. I'm like, I don't want to see a piece of high art. I don't know. I want to see something that is gritty, something that showcases the skill set, something that showcases the writing, the dialogue, the cinematography, the director's skill, and the production team skill. So yeah, um, the person I'm reading anything that is written by Ali Vali, and it's the last thing that I read, and actually I did a review on it that I published on Substack. Um, it's called The Art of Love, and I read the original draft of it before, and this final draft is good. Uh, if I was going to translate it from a book to script to screen, then there are a couple of things that I would change, and I'm sure that Ali would agree with me on it because of what I would change. But for the most part, the core of the story is a wonderful story, and it kind of opens up conversations. Okay, so what is one core topic in my niche that I feel I know better than almost anyone else? I don't feel like I know anything better than anyone else. I can tell you this, though, I can talk about most things, and I can talk about it because if I have a natural interest that fuels me to do it, then that is my conversation skill, I think. And I like listening. I like hearing what other people think. And most times when I'm meeting someone new or talking with someone that has a different opinion from me, I ask questions because not because I want to be antagonistic, but because I want to find out how they have come to their point of reference. Where do they come from their understanding of something? So yeah, that's the way I will go. If I could give my audience one practical tip or action step to implement today, what would it be? Don't quit and start, because starting is the hardest part. It really is. It's it literally can freeze you for months and some people years, because it's not even really based in fear. It's because you can't see what happens after it for most people. So the practical tip I would give is whatever you're going to do, whatever you're going to accomplish, or whatever you're of interest in, you must start it. So, yeah, and see yourself starting it, and it's going to help you start it, and then you'll definitely start it. Um, what is a trend in my industry that you've been paying close attention to? Well, I mentioned earlier my other business. This business that I'm in right here with my podcast is media. My other business that I'm in is construction. Right off the bat, you need to realize that construction affects everyone, whether you are working or retired. How do I know? Everybody lives somewhere, unless you live in, and even if you live in a van, it had to be constructed. So there are codes, there are beliefs, there are practices that need to be met, that need to be followed. So, what trend am I paying attention to? On my other channel, which is Signature Permitting, I, excuse me, I am about to start doing my video newsletters. And I'm doing that because I have realized that construction is going to be changing dramatically. And, if things were as they ought to have been, and President-elect Harris was in office, a lot of the things that was implemented from President Biden would have been able to move forward, and a lot of construction would have been happening right now, and a lot of people would be making a lot of money. But then a lot of people also would not be making as much money. But then a lot of people would also have been here to significantly change their lives within this industry. And what am I rambling about? I'm rambling about the fact that I live in a state where it has some of the most stringent building codes. But the interesting thing about it, remember I talked about yin and yang of things, the black and white of things, the back and forth of things, the balance of things, is those building codes are seeping in to other state building codes. Why is that? Because there are companies out there that are trying to circumvent and cut corners. And a lot of what's going on with immigration now have truly cut into the the value of um, construction. And because of that, that has either brought the company to their knees, or it has made them pivot in such a way that they have to reimagine themselves. What do I mean by that? I mean that in order to be relevant now, you're going to have to change how you used to work. And if you're going to change how you used to work, you're going to need someone like me, definitely. And why is that? My professional practice is permitting, and every single bit of construction relies on the proper permitting of your project before it moves forward. How do I know? What does that mean? I'll give you a very simple example. When Donald Trump went ahead and told the construction company at the White House to go ahead and demolish the East Wing, they first of all did it at night, and they did it without it being permitted. It's not permitted. And the reason I know it's not permitted is because that's Donald Trump's practice. And no one is going to sit there and tell him, as, excuse me, and this is my opinion, it is not anyone else's opinion. I consider him to be the imposter president. And he is working hard at denying, deflecting, derailing, distracting as much as possible. He's applying 40 years worth of skill to do this, and he is failing miserably, and it's going to get worse. But first of all, the White House is a historical building, so you have to go about it in a historical method. And it also proves that he's ignorant to what being a developer truly is. If you're going to be a developer, you're either a conservative individual, so you're conservation based, or you're innovative based. And if you are being innovative as a developer, the very first thing that you know is you need to know how to get permits processed quickly. So Donnie didn't do that, and therefore there's a stall here. And because there's a stall here, it is one of the other things that he has set fire to, and it is going to come back and it's going to burn him badly. But it's again, as I mentioned earlier, and I talked about loss. Um, the American people have lost something, but my spiritual sense has shown me this because of the demolition of the East Wing. It has, and I feel it. It has disrupted the soul history of that building. There are a lot of spirit energy, spiritual energy that surrounds that building. And that's probably why when I actually went to Washington when I was active military, I did not make it to the White House. I instead made it to the Pentagon. And the Pentagon was definitely energized, and I felt that energy when I was there. But the um the White House is special. The White House has some significant attachments that unfortunately his demolition of the East Wing has disrupted. And that's a story for another day. Um, what is a resource, a book tool, a person that has been a game changer for me? Well, it's more of a case of observing and understanding human behavior. Um, one of my fascinating people has always been Richard Branson. I love his entrepreneurial spirit. Um, but I have a nagging feeling that because of his years and because of who he is, there may be a little bit of affiliation going on with a certain set of files that are being tried to release themselves from the DOJ. I hope I'm wrong, but all it is a suspicion. The same way that, for a long time, a lot of people heard the term Randy Andy, but didn't quite understand what it meant. Um, yeah, and that's another thing that's truly going to blow things out. Oh my God, I think every single continent on this planet is going to feel the impact of the Epstein papers. I do. And I will say that for the record. Um, how do I stay on top of my game and continue to learn and grow in my field? Well, I'm interested, I'm curious, and I love what I do. It's one of my wives, if you will. Being a podcaster is one of my wives. Being married to the woman I'm married to is one of the things that I have. I'm fascinated by human behavior, and where else on what other platform will I be able to come across something like this? Excuse me. What is a question I wish more people would ask me? What's the time? Why? Because that would mean that they're not looking at their phones and they don't have watches on. It means that they are kind of not necessarily floating through life, but just basically are not tethered to where they have to be, who they have to be, or what they have to be on top of, et cetera, et cetera. They're not really structured in a certain thing. So yeah, I like if someone wants to talk to me and they want to say something to me, they ask me, what's the time? So, okay. Where do I see the Allison Knows podcast and my brand 1 year from now? And then what about 5 years from now? Well, what do I see? 1 year from now, I see the Allison Knows podcast. I see us past 10,000 subscribers. I see us selling merchandise. I do not like the term merch. I can't stand the term convo, and I definitely don't like the term Riz. So I do see that we have. On our show once a month we have a dynamic person that comes on to our show, and it's a combination of being relaxed but structured. So I do see that our show has the bounce from 500 subscribers and we're over 10,000. How far over 10,000? I have no idea. What would I like it to be? Oh, please. I'd like it to have a lot more digits in there, yes, because it means that I'm reaching more people. Um, 5 years from now, I want the podcast to still be ongoing, but I do want it connected to my production company. I do want it connected to the films and the streaming series that we not only would be beginning but have done and continue to do, and the young writers that want their work to be showcased, and also too other production companies. I want to partner with them so that we kind of like form, bond, build, create a platform where not just one production company is there. We have like a family of production companies under the umbrella of Sapphic Screens and Sapphic Film. So that's my production name, by the way. So it's visual for me. I hope to be a lot less fluffy and definitely a lot more physically healthy. I would love my mom to still be around. Right now she's 87. It'd be great if she's 97. I want to be able to help people, and I honestly want to have hit the stage to thank. So yeah, that's where I'd like to be. Um, what is the legacy I want to build? I want to build a legacy that shows women who support each other, who uplift each other, and who link arms with each other and show that we are absolutely not just capable, but we are definitely innovative and trendsetting. And we are definitely unstoppable. And I want that to be tied to my legacy. And I want to also show that there's a joy in doing and being business minded. It doesn't make you boring, doesn't make you limited, and it doesn't necessarily make you the kind of person that you are separated from those that may not earn as much as you do. And it's not even a quest for financial wealth, it's more a quest for accessibility, freedom, and expansion. As we wrap things up, and as my AirPods are about to die, they need to be recharged. The final thought and feeling I have, and I want to leave with my audience today. I want you to feel like this is a constant diet that you need to have. I want you to truly think, feel, and believe that this is a legitimate source for you to come to be refueled, to reconnect, to reset, and rebuild. I thank you. I appreciate everything. And until next time, this is the Allison Knows podcast. I am Allison. I ask that you subscribe, you drop a comment, you share, you like, and become a know it all with me. I would love to have you. I love you to be a part of this. Let's grow together. Have a good evening. Bye.